Here too on the show. 5 more matchups to break down. Green Bay traveling to Chicago to face the Bears. Jeff, what do you think about this game and this situation?
Well, Green Bay's on a tear, obviously. We ended the Bears season last week. Ha ha ha, Chicago. I like the Packers. I think they're probably the best team in the NFC now, for my money. I just think that whoever they play against, their offense works against them. Brett Favre's playing at such a high level. So I know the Bears are going to be prideful in the game, but I just think the Packers are going to roll.
A little bit of a trap game for Brett Favre. Nate Vasher came back last week, looked really solid. This will be the Bears Super Bowl. I mean, this is
right.
You could say last week was, but I mean, the Packers are their biggest rival. Game's in Chicago. I think the Packers win, but I don't know that Favre puts up his usual fantasy numbers.
Yeah, I think you're right as far as the Green Bay-Chicago rivalry. As far as us as Vikings fans, we hate Green Bay. Well, Bears fans hate Green Bay too. So like you say, the Bears are going to bring it in this game to try to be competitive. As long as Kyle Orton's under center with that porn mustache and the beard that he's
horrible hair.
Oh, dude. I don't like Chicago's offense at all. I think you definitely start Ryan Grant in this game. He stumbled a little bit last week, but I think he could get it going. The Bears do allow some yardage on the ground. What do you think about Ryan Grant?
Oh, if you normally start him, absolutely go ahead and do it. I don't think he's a great play. I think Chicago showed that they can stop the run last week when they faced the Vikings. They gave up 2 to Peterson, but the Vikings didn't put up huge rushing numbers like they have against some team, and even Chicago early in the season. I think the defense is playing a little bit better.
Now, Jeff, Greg Jennings has become a must-start for fantasy owners here throughout the second half of this season. I believe that he has now permanently eclipsed Donald Driver as the team's #1. You got to start Jennings here, right?
Well, yeah, he's a must-play for you. He's got touchdowns in 5 straight weeks, so they like to send him deep, and Favre is excellent at that connection. There's going to be no real overly thrown balls, I don't think, going his direction. So Jennings showing good hands and deceptive speed. Like, he doesn't seem like he's that fast until he's past you.
The Giants, a team that's absolutely squandering all hope for a late season playoff run. They might still make the playoffs, but they are limping quite badly right now. Last week, getting embarrassed on national television. This week, they travel to face Buffalo, a squad that's hungry and tough at home. Am I reading too much into the tea leaves here, Jason, or are the Giants just collapsing right now?
Oh, and they always do. It just seems like there's something about Tom Coughlin and Eli Manning that the second half of the season rolls around and they just crash and burn. Really, this is a tough one. It's like if you usually start Eli Manning, can you bench him when he's playing against Buffalo, who doesn't have the greatest defense in the world? But I mean, hopefully you've learned your lesson by now when it comes to Eli Manning, and you don't have to use him.
Right.
Like maybe the Giants are running low on Similac, is what you're saying?
Yeah, the Giants just look terrible right now. Eli falling apart. I look at Eli on TV, and there's times when I see him like this look in his eyes like he just wants to curl up in the fetal position and hide in the bottom of a dark closet. And that's not the mental fortitude that a starting quarterback, especially a starting quarterback who lives permanently in Peyton Manning's shadow. I mean, Eli really needs to step up here. And I mean, don't you think if his last name wasn't Manning, he would no longer be the starter here, Jeff?
Well, I mean, it's tough to say that because you want to give your quarterback a chance to develop and everything. And it was about right now in his career, if my memory serves, that Peyton Manning started to break out. So there was some learning curve for Peyton Manning. And likewise, we're seeing that here. That last game that they played, the wind was so strong that every ball was affected. And
right.
it was Todd Collins on the other side of the ball. So you had a hard time telling which quarterback was better, but the wind was affecting both. And so the running games took over, and Brandon Jacobs was good on the ground, and Clint Portis was good on the ground. But Amani Toomer dropped a potential touchdown right in his hands.
Brandon Jacobs dropped at least 4 little dump-off passes.
Yeah.
It's like his hands were made of stone. Big game for the Purple. Keep an eye on this one because if the Giants lose and the Vikings win, all of a sudden we're only, a game behind the Giants with the tiebreaker, and the Giants play the Patriots in Week 17.
Yes.
Right. It's a very big game for the Vikings.
I think there's a great chance that we swap with them and we end up as the #5 seed, which I like that idea because I don't want to face either the Cowboys or the Packers right away, depending on what happens there. I know we'll need to go and face
Seattle
or Tampa would be one of the two. So I don't know. I guess I'd like to play Tampa in that situation.
What do you guys think about Marshawn Lynch in this game?
Well, Marshawn Lynch's ankle is so tough to tell what he's going to do. Now they're restricting his carries a little bit more just because they want to preserve their back. Now, they lost a real heartbreaker last week in the snow against Cleveland. And then, of course, afterwards, their plane was delayed to the point where they had to get on a bus. So adding insult to injury, and I don't know if that's enough of a deterrent to make them feel like our season's over. And if that's the case, then I think they could get rolled. But Buffalo at home, they still have life mathematically.
Yeah.
I think there's a great chance they win this game.
Jason, what do you think?
Good New York rivalry game. I do think there's a chance Buffalo could win, but I also could see, like you say, them just laying an egg. Last week was their Super Bowl. Pretty much, I don't know if they're mathematically eliminated, but losing to the Browns certainly didn't help their cause. Their season
and they're the
is
best
over.
team in the league at looking like they might make a move and then just leaving
I got to say,
hot
though,
and horn.
I have a hard time taking the Bills seriously. Yeah, Marshawn Lynch is a great player. Lee Evans has some potential. There's some fantasy players there. But, this is a team that plays the Jets and the Dolphins twice. Those are 4 of their 7 wins. It's really hard for me to take them seriously.
Right.
And until they get a productive quarterback on a consistent level, those other playmakers' abilities are going to be restricted.
Yeah.
Philadelphia at New Orleans. Now, the Eagles are a team that has been eliminated because of the Minnesota Vikings win last week on Monday night, but Philly playing with a lot of heart at this time of the season, like I mentioned earlier in the show. I think Donovan McNabb is playing with a chip on his shoulder. He wants to show people that he's still got what it takes. In fact, he came out earlier in the week, made some comments to Pam Oliver, a female reporter. She reported those comments, and he denied them later on. McNabb has a lot to prove here, and this is the type of game that I think the Eagles really would like to win, because let's not forget the Eagles' season was ended last year when a Jeff Garcia-led Eagles team lost to New Orleans in the playoffs. Guys, I like the Eagles in this matchup. I think they're going to give the Saints all they can bargain for.
Yeah, I agree. And the first thing I'd like to say about this game is my heart truly goes out to everyone out there who's now playing for third place because Brian Westbrook knelt down on the 1-inch line. He just laid down there, a smart football play.
You bastard!
For all of us who lost our game by 6 points or less and now playing for third place, that really sucks.
Blame John Runyon. He's the one who made the call. I think there could be there's a potential to have a lot of points scored in this game. The Saints have the 30th ranked pass defense in the league. They can't stop anyone from passing. This could be a big game for McNabb, but again, depending on which Donovan McNabb shows up, because he's really stunk the place out a few times this season. Other side of the ball, is there a quarterback that's been, well, with the exception of Tom Brady, obviously, but is there a quarterback who's been hotter lately than Drew Brees?
No, Brees has looked good. You keep him in your lineup. You keep Colston in your lineup. Aaron Stecker is a player who scored 2 touchdowns last week. And, Jeff, I'm interested to get your take on it. Should fantasy owners be lenient on Stecker here this week?
Well, that's an interesting question. And I was talking to Yeasty last night, up to the Yeast. He's trying to decide between Stecker and Colby Smith. And, man, I was really torn on, what I think could happen. Because, to me, I think that you can beat Philadelphia by running the ball at them. But you got to have a bruising type of a runner. And I just don't think Stecker follows it up.
Tampa traveling to San Francisco to face a 49ers squad that really doesn't have anything to play for, but didn't have much to play for last week and still gave the Bengals definite fits. Tampa, I think, comes out here in this game, gets the ball to Ernest Graham early, and I think they dominate. Don't you think, Jason?
Let me go back to the Saints really quick. They're saying Reggie Bush may actually play this week.
Really?
It's really hard for me to believe it. But their playoffs are on the line. This is a huge game for them.
Craziness.
There's some talk that he could. Check that before you set your lineup. If he does play, I don't expect him to be the usual usual Reggie Bush workload, but it would certainly cut into Aaron Stecker's numbers. I still think Stecker's the guy at the goal line.
Nice.
Now we were talking about Tampa Bay.
That sounds a lot like a decoy, by the way.
Yeah, and it certainly could be. Definitely. They're not going to announce much probably until game time, so you might have to set that lineup at the last second. Tampa, San Francisco. Sean Hill's not the real deal. I shouldn't say maybe he is. Who knows? But this is a huge test for him this week. I don't. He played against 2 lousy pass defenses. I don't see this guy being the next big thing in San Francisco like the networks are trying to build him up to be. Tampa's pass defense, I think, 2nd in the league. Does that sound right, guys? They've been very solid just in general. That's a really good defense. I wouldn't start any 49er this week.
In fact, if you're trying to decide between defense right now, my defensive sleeper type of the week is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because of the inexperienced quarterback they're facing. They are number 2 in the league in passing defense, and I love Rondé Barber and what he brings to the table on a lockdown corner situation. I think there's a chance they finally, and we have to talk about this, I'm kind of a Bucs guy from back in the day, they got off the 30-year schneid last week, and they set NFL record by being the longest team ever to go without a special teams touchdown, and they finally got it. So, way to go, Buccaneers! If I had a cannon, I'd fire it right now.
First time
that was
since
money.
1970, well, first time ever
in the history of their franchise.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, they finally got off the schneid last week. So maybe it's a harbinger of things to come. They're headed to the playoffs, and I think they feast on Frisco this weekend.
And it's a homecoming of sorts for Jeff Garcia, so I'm sure there'll be a big parade
Yeah,
for
interesting. Yeah, good call.
Yeah, a gay pride parade.
You said that, not me.
Atlanta at Arizona, the final matchup of the show. I'm just going to say you probably want to roll Kurt Warner out there in this contest. Any of the wide receivers that are playing for Arizona, even Edgerrin James makes a decent play here. Probably bench all of your Falcons. If anyone else wants to add anything to that, go ahead. Otherwise, we're going to sweep it under the rug.
I'll just say, if Roddy White's healthy, he's been a good play this season.
That's what I was going to say, too.
But he caught one pass last week. I think Atlanta's given up.
I want to see what they do in the rushing game if they finally start Jarius Norwood as like a here's what we're planning on doing next season. Only one other interesting thing about this is Arthur Blank, the owner from the Falcons, is now beseeching Bill Parcells to come out of retirement and become the vice president.
He turned him down.
Now he's looking, Parcells is now saying he might go to Miami. Obviously, this is a tape show, so by the time you see this, that story might have changed 4 times because it is Bill Parcells.
That's why you're here, man, is to bring that extra flavor and air of inside ability that we claim to have here. But I don't know. I shoot it on like a musty, bad cologne.
Jeff, we talked a little bit about this. It is the holiday season. We are so thankful. Let's throw it over to you for the home run on thanking everybody here
as we're
at the studio.
As we're starting to near the end of our television season. It's year 4 in the books for Testosterone, and we're just so thankful for the ability to come here and to do this show. We love it. We hope and we try to make that obvious in the production that we do. And so we just wanted to throw out a couple of thank yous to all the people here. Barb Nolan and her staff at NWCT do just a fantastic job of meeting all of our needs. And always they tend to go above and beyond. And then this week we had a little bit of a directorial issue, and our own Alex Londo unable to be here. We would like to give a special thank you to Judy Homme for stepping in and
way to go.
being the great volunteer, the rock that she tends to be here. But to Tamisha and Nikki and Matt, to everybody here, we got lots of love for you.
Yeah, exactly. And to Jason Powell, our special guest here on the show this weekend. It was great having you this weekend. You're welcome anytime. Give us a call, shoot us an email. And to you, the Fantasy Football Junkies, when we started this show 4 years ago, we made it all about you because we know that you love fantasy football. And, hey, it's the same thing from the very beginning. The reason you watch this show is because if you want to win,
you must tune in
to Testosterone Fantasy Sports.
Buy those shirts.